Okay, it's 1 o'clock, so we'll begin today's webinar. Thank you everybody for attending. Now, before I get started, I wanted to go through a few housekeeping rules for those of you who have not attended one of our webinars before. Firstly, if I could just get everyone to please raise their hand using the little green hand icon in the top right-hand side of the screen so that we can know you can hear us. Just checking. I can see we've had a few people respond. Fantastic. So I'm assuming the audio is working. So also I wanted to note that today's webinar is in listen only mode, which means that you can hear us, but we are unable to hear you, as you can see from the mute on your microphone. So please be sure to type any questions you have throughout the webinar in the question box at the bottom right hand of your screen. And we'll have a question and answer session at the end of the webinar. The slides from today's webinar will also be sent to you tomorrow, along with a certificate of attendance. Before we begin, just a few words about us. My name is Jared McAvoy, and I'm a qualified solicitor with over 12 years experience working in the legal profession as a practitioner and a legal technology expert. I've spent most of my career in the legal technology industry, having worked for some of Australia's top software and information brokerage services. Presenting with me today is Aaron Batchelor, who has spent the last 6 years working in the banking, finance and legal technology industry and is passionate about helping law firms improve their financial processes and procedures. Our current role as sales managers at RapidPay focuses our time on answering one of the hardest questions a law firm faces, which is, how do I make sure I get paid for the work that I do? Our service is designed not only to help law firms get paid sooner, but also provide back office efficiencies as well. One of the benefits of using Leap is that it comes pre-installed with a suite of financial services provided by RapidPay. RapidPay is 100% owned and operated by Leap. These financial services are designed to enable law firms to accept office and trust payments 24/7. They also include a range of productivity tools designed to help law firms stay on top of their trust account obligations and to encourage your clients to pay your bills on time. Today's webinar will go through a detailed look at some of the challenges small law firms face when it comes to getting paid, together with an in-depth look of RapidPay's premium features and how these services can help you overcome some of these challenges. So the first topic I'd like to discuss is simply cash flow management. What is cash flow management and how do I ensure that I have enough cash to pay the bills each month? Simply put, cash flow management is the practice of ensuring you earn more than what it costs to run your business. Good cash flow management doesn't just focus on bringing in extra dollars into your business, it also looks at ways to reduce your overheads and improve your firm's productivity. The challenge lawyers and law firms face are that most lawyers are busy working for their clients and struggle to meet their monthly accounting and regulatory responsibilities, let alone work on improving cash flow. In practice, a law firm's cash flow can be quite tricky to manage. Certain areas of law might require significant time and effort which justifies a larger bill. However, due to your client's circumstances, it might take some time for the bill to be paid. Often, firms focus on matters that are less complicated and high in volume. For example, a conveyancing and wills can be completed relatively quickly and will generate cash to help pay the bills. The problem with this approach is if there is a downturn in the volume of work, there isn't an alternative source coming in to replace this income. If no more conveyancing matters come through due to changing economic conditions, a once reliable source of income could vanish overnight. The simplest way to improve the frequency of incoming payments is to use technology which can do the following. You want to be able to generate and send clear and precise cost agreements. You also want to record billable activity when the work is being done. You don't want to waste time at the end of the month updating timesheets or drafting invoices. You also want a system that accurately reports work in progress, or WIP, and outstanding invoices for all clients. These reports should be able to be emailed to you daily. You also want a system that can provide a list of matters that have funds in trust and compare that list to any outstanding invoices. You also want a system that includes multiple payment options such as BPay, EFT and credit card, as well as debtor financing and direct debit agreements. Limiting payments to just check, cash, and EFT significantly limits your ability to get paid. You also want a system that provides invoices with a link to a payment portal on your own website. Clients should be able to pay you online as soon as they receive their bill, just like they do with their gas and electricity bills. A system that also generates receipts in your accounting system automatically and sends to your client via email is also highly valuable. And finally, you want a system that automatically reminds your clients that their invoice's due date is approaching or is in fact overdue, and any reminders that are sent should also include instructions on how to pay your invoice. By implementing a system which can do all of the above, your firm should be able to weather any cash flow issues. I'll now turn over to Aaron, who will demonstrate the core features in the RapidPay Basic package.
Thanks, Jared. Good afternoon, everybody who's joined us this afternoon. My name's Aaron, and what I'll be doing today is taking you through a quick overview of the RapidPay Basic features, as well as a couple of our premium features later on within the webinar. So first of all, RapidPay is designed to work seamlessly with the invoicing functionality of Leap. To accept a payment into your office account, you first must create an invoice. When creating an invoice, please make sure to set the status as final printed before sending a copy to your client. Now, Leap provides two print options, print to PDF or print to Microsoft Word, or some of you may know this as a Word bill. With PDF, the RapidPay footer is locked to the bottom of the first page, whilst the Microsoft Word bill invoices allow you to move the RapidPay footer. Once you select either the print or Microsoft Word option, Leap will automatically create your invoice together with the RapidPay payment slip. The slip contains instructions on how your client can pay you via BPay, credit card, or EFT options. Once your invoice is generated and saved in Leap, you can either provide a hard copy by printing the invoice or emailing the invoice directly from your Leap software. Once your client receives the invoice, they just now need to follow the instructions shown in the RapidPay payment slip to make a payment. So from here, what I'll do is I'll also take you through setting up a trust payment. If you would wish to accept a payment into trust via RapidPay, you first need to create an anticipated trust deposit in Leap. To do this, simply open your client's matter and select the Trust Funds tab at the top of the page. Then select the Anticipated Deposits button. To complete the anticipated deposit, please ensure the correct recipient details have been entered. By default, your client's details will have been selected. If you wish to send the payment request to a third party, click on the Select From list, which I'm just hovering over now, and then choose the correct party from your firm's contact list. To complete the anticipated deposit, ensure you have entered in a valid reason for the payment and the amount you wish to be paid. Once all the relevant information is entered in, simply select the Print button to create a copy of the anticipated deposit slip. Once you send the anticipated deposit slip to your client, they just need to follow the instructions shown in the RapidPay payment slip to make a payment. How does a client pay me? RapidPay provides three standard methods of payment: BPay, credit card, and EFT. These payment methods are displayed as part of your tax invoice or anticipated trust payment request. We also support a fourth payment option called invoice financing, or as displayed on the RapidPay footer, will be pay monthly. This service is part of our premium service and will be discussed later in today's webinar. Before your client can make a payment, you first need to send a copy of your invoice or anticipated trust deposit. One of the easiest ways of doing this is by clicking the email drop-down button and selecting the Rapid Bill option. The Rapid Bill feature allows you to create a pre-populated HTML email, which you can send directly to your client or third-party payer with the invoice or trust anticipated deposit slip attached. The Rapid Bill templates can be modified by selecting the Preview button. By doing so, you can make changes to the template. If you would like to keep these changes for future use, select the Save Template button and it will be available via the template drop-down shown in the top right-hand corner. Once your client receives a payment request, they can initiate a credit card payment by selecting the Pay button, or can open the attached invoice or anticipated trust deposit for further payment options. By selecting the Click to Pay button, your client will be redirected to your firm's unique payments page. By default, RapidPay will provide you with a fully hosted payments website. You have the choice to use the URL we provide, or if you prefer payments are made from your own website, we can provide you with the relevant iframe HTML code. You can also take advantage of the Leap Service Portal feature, which allows your customers to book in appointments, make payments via RapidPay, and access secure documents from a single interface. Once your client is on the payments website, all they need to do is enter in their credit card, debit card details, and select the Pay Securely Now button. Upon successful payment, a payment acknowledgement will be automatically generated or receipt. So as you can see, after a processed payment, this is the receipt your client will see once payment has been generated. The payments page could also be used to accept payments in person or over the phone. To pay in person, simply open the matter in Leap and select the relevant invoice or trust payment request, and then click on the Click to Pay button. Ask your client for their credit card details, and then enter in their card details on the payments page as instructed. You can also follow the same steps for telephone payments. Instead of asking your client for their credit card, they can read out their card details to you. You or your staff can then type this information directly onto the payments website. Please note, Visa, MasterCard, American Express and JCB payments incur a 1.85% merchant surcharge, whilst Union Pay incurs a 3% merchant surcharge. By default, this is charged directly to the payer. However, you can elect to pay this fee yourself or split the surcharge between yourself and your client. If you're processing a payment in person or over the phone, it's highly recommended that you inform the payer of the relevant surcharge rate and amount before processing the payment. EFT and BPay payments can be processed directly through your client's banking institution. Most banks will have a payments options page, which allows you to pay a BPay bill or pay anyone via EFT. With BPay payments, your client needs to enter in their amount they wish to pay together with the biller code and the 12-digit reference number contained on the invoice or anticipated trust statement. With EFT payments, your client needs to enter in the amount they wish to pay together with the BSB account number and reference number listed on the invoice or anticipated trust statement. It's important that your client enters in the same details as it is presented on your invoice or anticipated trust statement. For example, if your client enters in the wrong reference number as part of an EFT transaction, the automatic receipting functionality will not detect the payment. If this occurs, you'll have to actually manually process this receipt in Leap. I'll now hand you back to Jared, who will now discuss the challenges around getting your client to pay your invoices on time.
Thank you, Aaron. So the next topic I'd like to discuss is how do I get clients to pay your overdue invoices? So a large number of overdue invoices can cripple a legal practice, especially if there are many 60 to 90-day overdue bills. This can be particularly frustrating when you are struggling to cover your own liabilities. All firms who have proper systems in place should be able to identify all invoices which fall into this category and know the reasons why clients can't or are not willing to pay. For certain matters, there might be legal reasons why payments can't be processed. For example, a company liquidation, or your client's assets have been frozen. However, in these circumstances should be rare, and if precautions are taken, they can be avoided. By taking the following steps, you should be able to significantly reduce the number of late or overdue invoices in your firm. So firstly, you want to regularly review your 30 to 90-day WIP and outstanding invoices report. You don't want to let any outstanding invoices get out of hand until it's too late to recover. Also, you want to make sure if a client regularly has trouble paying their invoices, you want to mitigate your risk by insisting clients pay funds into trust prior to the commencement of any work. You also want to regularly review your trust to office management report. If applicable, transfer any available funds from trust to office. Your practice management system should be able to distinguish funds held for a specific purpose, for example, proceeds from a real estate sale to be used to purchase a new property, from the trust funds that you currently hold for your own legal fees, from the trust to office management report tool. You also want to offer alternative payment plans. So if you can't recover the full amount upfront, you want to arrange for the client to pay a specific amount each fortnight or each month. You also want to enforce your payment terms. So instruct your clients in your cost agreement that you will add a penalty interest on their invoice if it isn't paid on time, and remind them when the invoice falls due. You also want to automate your payment reminders. So there are now solutions available which can automatically send payment reminders to your client via email and SMS. Make sure any program you choose can send reminders before and after your invoice falls due. These reminders should be customized to suit your practice needs, as well as contain a link back to your payments website. You also want to stop work immediately if your invoices are overdue for a significant period of time, and don't be afraid to use debt collectors or litigation if your client is unable or unwilling to pay their invoice. In a perfect world, you should get paid upfront every time you take instructions. However, this simply isn't possible for all matter types, especially if your firm doesn't have a trust account. The ideal situation is to request the following payment terms in order of preference. So ideally, the first option you should have is to get immediate upfront payment into your trust account for the full amount due or likely to be due. Your practice management solution should have the ability to send trust payment requests via email, which can then be immediately paid online. If you can't get an upfront payment for the full amount, you should get immediate upfront payment for a partial amount, with the remainder to be paid on the completion of work. If possible, you should be able to direct any funds owed to your client into your trust account and obtain instructions to deduct your legal fees from these funds. Also, obtain your client's commitment to making small payments each fortnight or month. Debt or finance or direct debit agreements could help you secure payment. You also want to offer maximum number of payment types available. So most firms lose payment opportunities only by accepting cash, check, and EFT as their only payment solution. You could be missing out on the opportunity to get paid today simply because your client prefers to pay bills via BPay or credit card. You also want to avoid using older technologies such as EFTPOS and prefer using online payment systems. So EFTPOS is great for retail businesses as goods are accepted and paid for in person. But most service businesses get paid by issuing invoices, and their clients aren't often in the office when that happens. So if you offer an online solution as part of your invoicing, your clients can pay you when it's convenient to them, 24/7, either online, in person, or over the phone. And finally, you want to automate your payment reminders. If you are in the process of sending a short email or text message to remind your client, advising them that your invoice is approaching its due date or is in fact overdue, it will help you reduce the number of calls you need to make to chase up payments. I'll now hand back over to Aaron, who will now demonstrate our premium feature designed to assist you reduce how long it takes to receive payments from your client. And that's our payment reminders, our brand new payment reminder solution.
Thanks, Jared. Now, for the whole reason why we're all here today. So what I'll do is I'll take you through a couple of the premium features that RapidPay offers on the premium service. So payment reminders is a reminder service that integrates directly with the invoice and anticipated deposit functionality in Leap. To activate the payment reminder service, simply select the payment reminder button from the Office Account or Trust Funds tab at the top of the page in Leap. From here, the payment reminder interface will launch in your default web browser. To activate this service, simply select the Activate button in the top right-hand corner. Please note, all reminders will start to be sent to your clients within 24 hours of activating the service. So it's important that you make sure your email and SMS templates have been customized to your firm's requirements. To do this, we begin by selecting the General tab. From here, you can modify the display name for the SMS messages as well as your email signatures. You can also select the test email and SMS button to view how your payment reminders will look from this tab. You can also customize whether to send reminders to invoices or anticipated trust deposits by selecting the tick box below. For example, by unselecting the anticipated trust deposit option, RapidPay will only send reminders to your outstanding invoices. Once you have set up your general preferences, you can customize your reminders by navigating the reminder tab shown on the left-hand side of the screen. We will begin by selecting the Early Reminder tab. Early reminders are designed to be sent prior to your invoice due date. You can modify the date the early reminder is sent by changing the days before due date field. The default option for this email to be sent is 7 days prior to the invoice due date. You can also modify the phrasing and layout of the email or SMS template by selecting the text box and making the relevant changes. As you can see, making changes to the main text of the email and concluding remarks. The only area that can't be changed is the payment link, since this information is hard-coded back to the payment footer issued on your invoice. On top of these tools, you can also disable email and SMS reminders, allowing you to choose to send both types of reminders, one type, or disable reminders for this category completely. The first to third reminder tabs allow you to do the same modifications to reminder emails sent on or after the due date of the invoice. The default setup is that the first reminder is sent on the due date, the second 7 days after the due date, and the third 14 days after the due date. Each reminder message can be customized to your firm's requirements. The ongoing tab can be used to send repeat reminders, which won't stop until your client has paid their invoice. The Stop Reminders tab allows you to exclude specific matters or invoices from being sent a reminder. To exclude a matter, simply select the Stop Reminder button and select the Stop button next to the matter. This will stop any reminders being sent to any invoices generated on this matter. Finally, the History tab allows you to view your payment reminder history in one place. This tab provides you with a list of all payment reminders sent and confirms whether they were sent successfully. If a reminder hasn't been sent successfully, most likely the telephone number or email address in Leap is invalid or it needs to be updated. If you just want to stop reminders being sent to a specific invoice, you can also select the Details tab and choose the relevant invoice you don't want reminders to be sent to. To summarize, all you need to do to get a payment reminder up and running is to activate the service, modify your email and SMS template, and exclude any matter or invoices you don't want reminders being sent to. Once this is done, reminders will be automatically sent each day based on the due date of the invoice. Any email reminders sent are also saved back to the Details and Correspondence tab in Leap. The next feature I would like to demonstrate will assist you when your client won't pay their bills on time despite receiving multiple reminders, emails, or SMS. So what I'll do now is I'll take you through the installment plan option that we have on our premium service as well. On top of our standard payment solutions, RapidPay allows law firms to set up a direct debit payment request against any invoice or anticipated trust deposit in Leap. To create a payment plan, first open the relevant matter in Leap. From here, simply select the Office Accounting tab to create a payment plan against your existing invoice, or select the Trust Funds tab to create a plan for your pending anticipated trust deposit. This will open up a summary screen that shows all the existing outstanding invoices or anticipated trust deposits for this matter. To create a new plan, simply select the Plan button next to the relevant invoice. For multiple invoices, simply select the Create Plan button in the All Invoices Total section. Once selected, you can modify the total amount payable under the plan, the start date, the number of installments, whether in payments are debited monthly or fortnightly, and the name and email details of the payer. You can also nominate whether to pass the payment plan establishment fee on to the payer. Once these details are confirmed, select the Submit button to create the plan. Once this is done, an email will be sent to the payer outlining the details of the plan created. All your client needs to do is to activate the plan, is to select the Activate button in the email, and then enter in the credit card or bank account details. The first repayment will then be deducted on the nominated start date. Once the payment is made, the funds will be credited to the relevant account within 24 hours. RapidPay will also create the relevant receipts for each instalment and email them to the payer. So now I'll hand back over to Jared, who will show you, who'll take you through how often you should bill your clients and chase up overdue payments.
Thank you, Aaron. So one of the biggest impacts on a law firm's cash flow is the belief that billing is locked into a monthly cycle. You should bill your clients as soon as you're entitled to and ensure that any funds held in trust are transferred to your office account as soon as possible. One of the limitations of transferring trust to office on a regular basis is the fact that most invoicing and trust to office payment cycles are done at the same time as completing your end of month trust account requirements. In the past, managing a trust account was a long and tedious process requiring law firms to check that each individual bank transaction matched their trust account record. Several trust account programs can now download and automatically match your bank transactions against your trust records. This will significantly decrease the amount of time it takes to manage your trust account, time you and your staff can use to invoice and chase up outstanding debtors. With outstanding debtors, you should contact your client just before your invoice falls due. If your client is unable or unwilling to pay, you should then discuss alternative payment arrangements such as part payments or direct debit options. I'll now hand back to Aaron, and he'll go through RapidPay's integration with Leap's end of month trust account reconciliation tool. Over to you, Aaron.
Thanks, Jared. So what I'll do now is I'll take you through the trust reconciliation. So just so I can walk you through step by step, if you go to the Leap homepage and open up the menu tab, go to the accounting tab, and then the reconciliation or reconcile account. And from here, this will actually bring up all of your transactions within your trust account. So the process of reconciling your trust account involves matching the trust bank statement to transactions recorded in Leap. Once you have verified your trust account in Leap, your bank transactions will be automatically imported to Leap's trust reconciliation tool as displayed on the screen. Leap will then automatically link and reconcile all matching transactions, saving you time. From here, make sure the statement date is set and then enter in the statement balance amount. This is the closing balance based on the statement date. Leap will automatically match the Leap transactions to the bank feed. Please make sure, though, you review the automatically matched entries to ensure they are correct. If a transaction is not automatically matched to a Leap transaction, click the magnifying glass icon to search the bank feed for the relevant transaction. You can also click Accept to manually reconcile the entry. Continue matching until you've marked off all items on the bank statement. When the variance is nil, click the Reconcile button to reconcile your trust account. Now I'll hand over to Jared, who will take you through credit management and cash flow smoothing.
Thanks, Aaron. So what is credit management and cash flow smoothing? So when a law firm doesn't enforce payment of outstanding invoices, they are effectively providing a line of credit with a limited set of recovery options should the client be unwilling or unable to pay. From your client's point of view, the primary cause of their frustration is bill shock. In most cases, the amount listed on your invoice exceeds the amount they are perceived your services are worth. This is especially the case for most individuals who rarely have need of a solicitor service and are often under great stress due to their circumstances. Businesses, on the other hand, may not value legal services unless they can see some sort of commercial advantage resulting in increased revenue or reduced cost. All other legal work is perceived as an expense, which needs to be minimised. Most law firms don't like the concept of spending time litigating bad debts and often choose to let invoices go unpaid instead of enforcing their payment terms. This can be problematic if a debt comes from one of your larger clients. The solution could be as simple as offering alternative payment options. This will encourage payment instead of facing a drawn-out legal battle. So some of the possible solutions you could include is offering favourable discounts to clients who provide repeat business or commit to regular payments. You could also offer discounts to clients who commit to paying funds into trust or who regularly pay your invoice before it falls due. You should also consider offering debtor financing or direct debit agreements. So these agreements can allow a client to borrow the full amount invoiced, which is then paid to the law firm. They then agree to pay back the loaned amount over 12 equal instalments at a slightly higher rate. Cash flow smoothing is the process of preparing for times in the year when payments slow down. Legal practices tend to experience a flood of payments over the end of financial year period, whilst the Christmas and New Year period is typically slow. By offering some of these solutions, you can spread your income over the leaner months. The important thing is to discuss your client's situation and to find solutions that work for you, yourself and your client. Now, RapidPay's primary service that we offer to deal with essentially cash flow issues is our invoice financing option. And I'll now hand over to Aaron, who will show you how this option works.
Thanks, Jared. So what I'll do now is I'll take you through the invoice financing demonstration. But as Jared stated before, this is about knowing your client and your client situation. So invoice financing is a payment service offered in partnership with Premium Funding. The feature allows you to offer clients that have an ABN the ability to pay your invoices over 12 monthly payments whilst you get paid up front. If your client chooses this payment option, the fully invoiced amount will be paid to you within 4 business days of the first repayment, whilst your client makes repayments over the following 12 months. Before you can offer the service to your client, you first must complete and return an ongoing invoice purchasing agreement. You can download a copy of this agreement on our website. Once completed and signed, you'll need to scan and email a copy of the application to info@rapidpay.com.au. Once we receive your application, the Pay by the Month service will be switched on for your firm. Once activated, the Pay by the Month option will appear on the RapidPay footer together with our BPay credit card and EFT payment options. In this example, your client has the choice to pay $1,100 via BPay, credit card or EFT. If your client can't afford to do this, they can instead choose the pay monthly option and pay $101.06 per month over 12 months. The monthly amount shown in the payment footer is inclusive of any fees and interest charges applied by premium funding. Now I'll hand you back over to Jared and he'll take you through how to actually activate.
Thank you, Aaron. So how do you actually activate RapidPay? So those firms who have not done so yet. So to activate RapidPay, all you need to do is visit our website at rapidpaylegal.com.au and select the Apply Here button in the top right-hand corner of the website. This will direct you to our online application, which takes approximately 5 minutes to complete. Once completed, an application form will be sent to your nominated email address. Simply print out and sign this application and return it to info@rapidpay.com.au together with a copy of your photo ID and bank statements for account verification. We also encourage you to verify your bank account details in Leap, which will enable EFT receipting as well as our trust reconciliation tool. Now, this can be found within Leap itself, so I'll return back to the matter list. So to complete your account verification, you can do so by going to the menu icon and then to the account section, which is found in Settings and Application Settings. If you're not using Leap 2X yet, you would go to Options, Tools, Options, and then you'll also be presented with this screen. So from here, you would select the Office and Trust account options, and you'll be presented a list of your accounts in Leap. From here, select your relevant account. So I'm selecting my office account that's held with the National Australian Bank, and you'll then select the little pen icon here. And you're presented with the details of your account and a Verify Account button. Slide the Verify Account button across and a form will automatically download with further information. And if that doesn't download automatically, you can also select that from the list. So if we go back to here, you'll have a link, as you can see here, to download the form. That form is automatically downloaded. So if you do bank with Westpac or ANZ, this form will essentially contain instructions on how to complete your verification via internet banking. For all other banks, you'll be provided with a list and a form that you need to complete. So with this form, you just need to print it out, authorize it, and return it to support@rapidpay.com.au. And once this is all completed, please go back to your account settings and hit the submit button there. Now, some of you may be wondering how much RapidPay costs, so we'll quickly go through our charges. So RapidPay is a subscription service with 2 levels of service. Our basic package is $15 per month plus GST, whilst our premium service is $40 per month plus GST. And you can see in the image here the difference of products that are provided in the basic and premium package. The core difference between the two is that our premium service includes our advanced features such as payment reminders and direct debit installment plans, whilst our basic package only includes our standard payment and automatic receipting service. On top of the subscription fee, law firms also are required to pay $1.85 plus GST every time we process a BPay, EFT, or credit card transaction via RapidPay, and also when we create, and that means that we've created a receipt in Leap. This fee also applies to any receipts generated from an invoice financing plan or an installment plan. All remaining fees, in particular the credit card merchant fees, are charged directly to the payer. And if your client doesn't want to pay the merchant fee, they can easily avoid that fee by paying via the BPay or EFT option. And finally, for those of you who have yet to activate our invoice financing service, to do so, just simply visit www.rapidpaylegal.com.au, go to the payments and pay by the month section and download the application as indicated on the screen. Once you've completed that application, simply return the application to info@rapidpay.com.au. Okay, so we're now at our poll question section. Whilst we're running the poll, feel free to ask any questions you may have over today's webinar, as we'll be answering your questions after the poll. So our poll is going to run for 7 questions. So I'll begin with the first question. Now the first poll, if you can just answer, we're going to hopefully develop this year a new feature, which we're calling pre-matter payments. So essentially feedback from our clients so far is they want a solution that allows them to take a payment prior to opening up a matter and leap. So to begin with, we'd just like to get your feedback on just a couple of queries we've got in regards to this feature, so that can help us design what we're going to do. So essentially, the first question is just whether or not you are accepting payments prior to opening up a matter and leap. So I can see we've had a few responses. Now all the results of the polls will be shared at the end. So I'll roughly run each poll for a minute and then move to the next question. So obviously the answer here is either yes or no. All right, I'll close that poll. So about 30% of people attending here do accept a payment prior to creating matter and leap, and 70% here don't. So we'll now move to our next question. So the next poll here is about if you do accept pre-matter payments, what would you be accepting it for? So obviously we've got our initial consultation, either appearance fee, so a court fee, or anything else in the other field. And if you have another, feel free to share that in the questions option on your tab. So the top 2 responses so far is being that initial consultation, which has generally been our feedback so far with clients which want to have the ability to take a payment for that initial consultation. And if it obviously proceeds, you'll open up a matter and leap, and if it doesn't, it'll be processed separately. So we'll just run that poll just for a little bit now. So I could see there's somebody come in the questions, put in for a trust retainer. That's obviously another response we've got as well, so it's a good point to raise, is obviously getting that pre-matter payment into trust prior to commencing work. All right, we'll close that poll. Thanks for the response. About 58% responded initial consultation, 21% for appearance fee, and 30% other. So we'll move to our next question. So obviously just following off from the previous question on the other, just obviously where you're having those initial payments located, whether you're wanting that initially paid into your office account or trust account, or you're using it for both trust and office. I think I've made a mistake here with the poll, sorry. The third trust account option should be actually both accounts. If so, just to avoid any confusion. So at the moment, the overwhelming response has been to collect that pre-matter payment into trust, but there's also people accepting into office, so I'm assuming that's for charging an initial consultation. All right, well, just 10 more seconds before we'll move to the next poll question. All right, thank you. Let's move to our 4th question. So if you are going to use pre-matter payments, how likely are you to create a matter and leap once the payment is received? So at the moment, overwhelming response is very likely, followed by likely. Obviously, the natural experience here is if you're doing that initial consultation, it's probably likely to end up being a matter opened up in leap. The responses we've had really has been, that occasional scenario when you've got a client walking into the office randomly from the street and wanting some advice, but doesn't take up your advice and they continue onwards. So once again, we'll let that run for just 10 more seconds. All right, we'll close that response. Move to the next question. So next question is about the payment method you're accepting for a pre-matter payment. So which payment method does your firm use to accept a pre-matter payment? So obviously we've got EFTPOS as a big response, BPay, others, EFT, cash or check, or other types of payment. So you can see a lot of people here, they're using that EFTPOS machine to take that initial payment. If you're not using RapidPay, my concern if you're accepting that EFTPOS machine via credit card is you'll be incurring merchant fees, especially if that EFTPOS machine is hooked up to your trust account. You'll be paying a lot of money in bank fees just to accept a upfront payment. So one of the advantages of our RapidPay, as you've seen, is we do surcharge that credit card merchant fee, so that's not a cost that you're incurring. Some people have mentioned other as PayPal being an option, which we consider similar to like an EFTPOS or an EFT transaction. So we'll close that question. So we've got 2 more to go. So the 6th question, if you're taking that upfront payment, when would you actually create the matter in leap? Would it be less than a day, 1 day later, or greater than 1 day? Obviously, at the moment, overwhelming response is being less than 1 day later. So obviously people are creating that matter pretty much after taking that payment or shortly after on the same day. But there's also people here that are doing it 1 day later. So it looks like we've got a very diligent crowd here today with getting those matters up and running into Leap. So nobody's said greater than 1 day yet. So from my point of view, it's probably showing everybody's diligent with their payments. So that's good to see. So let that run for just a few more seconds. All right, and our final question poll before we move to our question and answer section is if a pre-matter payment solution was available to you, how likely would you be actually using it? So overwhelming response so far has been very likely, but there are a few people not sure whether or not they'll use it as well. So they're often the top 2 responses so far, whilst there's a few who've also said they're unlikely to use it as well. So, which indicates to us, based on the feedback receiving from clients and people who use Leap, that this is something that is probably worth a while getting up and running and available to you as soon as possible. We'll let that run just for a few more seconds. So at the moment, 47% very likely, 37% not sure, 13% unlikely, 4% unlikely, or highly unlikely, sorry. Okay, we'll close off the polls. Thank you so much for participating. It really helps us to get that feedback straight away. I do remind everybody, if you do have any questions, please ask them now. We do have a few that have come through, so we'll definitely go through them now. So we'll get to our Q&A section now. All right, so first questions. Now what I'll do, I'll just end slideshow and we'll go to Leap so I can demonstrate. So some of these questions relate to functionality that will require me to demonstrate. So just bear with me for a sec. All right, so the first question we have is payment reminders. So I assume it does not take note of any funds in trust which may have been paid to trust but not yet transferred to the general account yet. So to answer that question, I just need to sort of reiterate some Leap functionality that you may not be aware of, and also just point out where we're taking the due date amount from. So with the payment reminder system, essentially in your invoice section in Leap, the amount that will show as being due in any payment reminder that's sent is essentially taken directly from the invoice screen itself. So in here, you've got essentially, this is being a paid invoice, you have a balance due of 0. But if that screen showed $100, that's what we will remind the client to say you owe $100 to pay. Now, essentially, if you do hold funds in trust, and those funds in trust are earmarked to be allocated to that invoice. So give an example, you've got a $1,000 invoice, you're holding $500 in trust, and that $500 is going to pay essentially that $1,000 invoice. So essentially the payment you want from the client is going to be the additional $500 to pay off the invoice. So in order to facilitate that type of response, you just got to make sure that you're getting the habit of setting any funds that you're receiving in LEAP and allocate those funds to the specific invoice using the protected trust funds feature. So you access protected trust funds by going to the trust funds tab and hitting the protected trust funds button. If you're not on 2X, there'll be a button at the top there called protected trust funds. Now, when you're here, you've got a protected funds button. And when you're selecting that button, you'll have an invoice option. So the main thing here, we've got an invoice here due for $1,100. So in order to earmark any funds held in trust against that email, you need to select that invoice and then select the amount you want to earmark. So at the moment, we're not holding any funds in trust on this matter, but if you had, for example, the $500 option, you'll earmark that $500 to that invoice. Now, when you do that, the balance due amount will actually change and factor in the $500 that have been protected to the invoice. So when the payment reminder is sent out, it should just ask for the additional $500. So I hope that answers your question. So that was a really good question. I appreciate going through that. So the next question, I think, is from the same person. Can you exclude certain clients from payment reminders? So the answer to that question simply is yes. I'll show you how you can do that right now. So in the installment plan section, all right. We've got, sorry, this installment plans, my mistake. I get the payment reminders. So I was just reading your questions there. So which one, next one I'll answer. So in payment reminders, if you want to exclude certain clients from payment reminders, you have to go to the stop reminder area. So at the moment, the only way to stop a reminder is by opting out the matters that those clients are connected to. You can't specifically opt out a specific client just directly from here. So you would go to the stop reminders tab, find essentially all the matters that client is attached to, and hit the stop button next to that relevant, those relevant matters. At this stage, if you've got a client, for example, has got 100 matters, you would have to hit stop 100 times to exclude that client. Essentially, if you're going to be doing that, probably the better option for you is to change the way payment reminders works. So in the setup area in general, there is a toggle where you can choose in the general tab to set reminders for all invoices or to set reminders for all anticipated trust deposits. So if you untick that option and hit save, pretty much every invoice and anticipated trust deposit is going to be added into the stop reminder tab. And then you can then choose which matters or which specific invoices reminders are started. And you can choose essentially which of those clients get the reminders. Overall, we do fix this feature and take feedback on board. There has been a request put in for us to make it a client exclusion. It's something we're looking into, but at the moment, the level that you need to exclude any sort of invoices, either at the invoice level or at the matter level, as you can see here. So if I wanted to restart any of these options, I can click restart, and anything sent there as well is going to be resent. The other thing, don't forget the history tab. History tab's a really great area just to keep track of any payments or any reminders that have been sent. We do save the email for any reminder directly into your Matter and Leap, but you can also track the sent status. So if you, for example, have an error in your An error in any of the fields in Leap, you may have mistyped in an email address. You're going to have the ability to actually see that and have it go through. All right, so what mobile number, next question, what mobile number will the client see when getting an SMS? So to answer that question, they're not actually going to see a mobile number. If you recall back in the initial part of the presentation in the general tab, what is actually going to be seen by a client in the text message is going to be whatever is in this box assigned in the general tab. So by default, when you turn this on, it's going to be essentially your firm name that'll be populated into that box, but you can change that. Now that field has character limitations, so just be mindful that you may have to abbreviate your firm name, but essentially the idea is when your client gets a text message from us, they're not seeing a random mobile number, they're actually seeing your name on the text message, so it's know it's from you. Another question, does payment reminders work for a client with multiple email addresses? So at this stage, just to reiterate where we send emails to, any reminder emails will only be sent to the email address contained on the Leap contact card. You may, for example, have an entity that has multiple email addresses that you're acting for. At this stage, it's going to point, any reminders are going to be pointed to that email address on the client card. So essentially anything in that field is going to be where the reminders are sent to. If there usually with most entities, there's usually a primary contact that wants this correspondence. So in a company sense, you want to put it in the accounts department in that field. And if you need to send correspondence to other members in the organization, you've always got the staff tab to fall back on, and you can enter in additional emails on that client's card as well. So just something to be mindful of. But at the moment, the system's only designed to send the reminders to the email address in this box and text messages to the mobile number in this box. So once again, if you haven't updated your cards and you're wondering why we're not sending reminders, it's most likely you haven't put that information in the card. So Leap as a system in general, it highly is reliant on you putting in your client information properly into the cards. If you're not doing that, we're not going to be able to know where to draw that information from to send these documents to. So once again, that was a great question. Thank you for that. Nearly running out of time, so we'll just see if I can get a few more in. So can I use space in the mobile number? As you can see on the screen here, either works, either non-space or space, that'll detect it. The main thing, it just needs the digit format. So 433, so the 9-digit, if you have more, you'll probably most likely get an error when it's sent. So don't worry if you put in spaces, it'll know, it's smart enough to know. It just has to be the full mobile number and no additional characters. What else? Okay, do payment reminders work retrospectively? For example, invoice has been unpaid from 2 years ago, and I set up payment reminders now. Will they apply to all outstanding invoices or only to new invoices created? That's a really good question. I'll just go back into payment reminders and just cover that. Essentially, when you activate payment reminders, how it works by default is when you hit activate, it's going to automatically put in the preloaded payment schedule. So by default, the standard schedule that's turned on when you first turn on payment reminders is we're going to send a reminder 7 days prior to the due date. So the important thing just to note with anything with payment reminders is it's highly driven off the due date of the invoice itself. So when you finalize an invoice, you can still modify the due date. So you could have a whole bunch of old outstanding invoices. They could have due dates from last year. The main thing is if it falls out the initial structure of the reminder system, those aren't going to be captured and be sent a reminder unless you turn on the ongoing reminder schedule. So if I go back to payment reminders, so by default, we send a reminder 7 days prior to the due date. In this scenario, 15 days. Now you can see here we've got ongoing, but we haven't got the ticks next to the email SMS option. That's because when you hit the activate button, we're not going to automatically turn on ongoing reminders. because by experience, if we do that, we know with some clients, you'll have invoices listed in Leap that are actually paid but haven't been updated in Leap to be paid, and they can be quite old. We want to give you that prompt to essentially get your invoices cleaned up. I would recommend you run your invoices report. Make sure that everything in your database in Leap is actually due and owing before you actually start setting up the schedules. So with ongoing reminders, I would only ever turn this on if you are 100% sure that every invoice outstanding in Leap is owing, and the client in general is not going to get upset by receiving multiple emails reminding them to be paid. The other thing as well is you've got the stop reminder tab. So if you do have clients upset with getting multiple emails, you can use the stop reminder tab to exclude them from the whole area. So you can see with the ongoing that essentially all the different reminder schedules have the ability to send a different message. With the ongoing, it's essentially the one that our clients use to sort of threaten litigation in some respect before, or sending it to collection, or essentially escalating the process prior to essentially closing the matter. So you can see how in this template we're overdue by several weeks, and we're essentially the ongoing will just repeat the cycle of emails being sent based on how many days in a cycle until they pay. If you want to have that functionality, you can certainly turn that on there. All right, so we're running out of time. There's probably one more question we'll answer, and we'll take it. Any other additional questions, I will aim to respond to you personally, or send in a document post the webinar. So the last question I have is, sorry, it's running here. So how safe is payment reminders to send to clients? With sort of safety, the main thing I reiterate, it is highly reliant on the data you've got in Leap and how you set up this system. So when you're essentially got invoices that are old and overdue, if they're older than essentially the schedules you set up, they're not going to be sent a reminder. So you've got plenty of time when you first turn this on. Essentially, your invoices in most cases, anything with a due date older than 30 days won't be sent a reminder. So you can ease your clients into this process and actually getting emails and text messages. The emails that we send are notified as a RapidPay email. Leap is soon to develop a new feature called Super Diary, which will allow you to integrate one of your firm's Office 365 accounts. That'll allow you to nominate an email address and an inbox, and you can essentially send it from one of your firm's own email address. But at the moment, emails are sent from our no reply email, which is the same for any receipt emails we send. And for the SMS, it's run from an SMS generator online. And once again, when a client sees the SMS, it's going to show your name. It's not going to come from a random mobile number. So clients can rest assured that anything we send is going to be essentially information you're seeing here. All right, so we've got that sort of concludes our time for today. I'd like to thank everybody for attending. We will make this webinar available online shortly, and any pending questions I get, I will endeavour to answer and get a response to you by early next week. Thank you so much and have a good afternoon. See you later.